the participants button. I was like, God, is it just the three of us? This is going to be terrible. But it looks like some of the community is coming in as well. Hey guys, you know the drill. While getting started, we like to chit chat, joke around a little bit so you don't miss too much because we do have a lot planned for today, walking through a bit of a partnership we've set up with No Harm, more or less to help the climate tech companies find awesome corporates and folks looking to be buyers, find decarbonization solutions. No Harm's got a pretty solid system for that, and that's kind of why we decided to partner with them. But first, while we're kind of here and getting started, if you're new to Forward, so welcome. I'm going to be your host, Matt, and one of the folks over here at Forward. If you haven't checked on our other online events, we've got our next Startup Tank Investor Pitch Show happening next week. We've had these on pause for a while, so that's certainly one to tune into. We've got 3 awesome investor panelists joining, as well as, I want to say, 7 startups all in the kind of seed to Series A is phase. You can check that out at 4WARD.earth/events, or you'll see it right here in the events part of the platform itself. While you're waiting, if you want to post a little bit about yourself, a short 1 or 2 sentence bio, who you are, what you do, to connect with some of the other participants, and hopefully set up calls after this. We'll have questions, answers, and everything at the end of the show, or I guess at the end of the kind of event, but you can post those anytimes in the chat. And once you do, if they're great questions, we'll bring them up immediately. And if they're okay questions, we'll save them for the end. And let's see, anything else that you folks might need to know? We've got a new member call happening next week. We're doing these monthly to connect members to the resources, the platform, as well as meet other folks in the community. Highly recommend joining that if you're able to. If you're not, we have our onboarding checklist. Share links as well here, but you should have access to all that in the new to Forward section and have introduced yourselves already. If you haven't, how else can folks know what you're doing and be able to ideally reach out and collaborate and work together, because that's what we're here for, to move the world forward. That's enough about Forward and moving things forward. We should take this forward with enough puns to get us to the next step. So this event is all about our partnership with No Harm. So No Harm is, how did we get connected? We were doing a climate co-working here in Zurich, actually. And one of their team came and shared a little bit more about No Harm and what they do. It looks like Luke already knows No Harm well. Thanks for jumping in, Luke. Then No Harm, I would let them introduce themselves. They basically match corporate buyers with startups and technology providers, and we're setting up a pretty cool partnership to help you guys land clients. I would kick things over to Delma because I'm always bad at introductions, and it's always better for you to introduce yourself. And yeah, you want to take things away? What is No Harm? What do you guys do? And who are both of you before we get too deep into the weeds?
Yeah, appreciate the intro, Matt, and all the puns. I think our name, No Harm, has plenty of opportunities for puns as well. So again, before getting into the weeds, briefly introduce myself. As you all know, my name is Delma. So my background is in sustainability. I have been in sustainability now for 10 plus years. Started off my career in a organization which was tiny, now very much well known, perhaps to some of you, if not hopefully majority of you, an organization called B Lab. So B Lab certifies for-profit companies around the world, setting a standard of sustainability called B corporations. So that's where my sustainability career started, as a sustainability auditor. So my role was to audit both small and medium-sized companies as well as large companies. Had the opportunity to look in the back room, if you will, in the of companies like Kickstarter, Ben and Jerry's, most notably, as well as some publicly traded companies now, part of Unilever's portfolio, etc. Through this process, migrated my career to many types of sustainability industries, so supply chain management, asset management, as well as software, carbon calculation development, regulation reporting, et cetera, et cetera. As you may know, the sustainability field is quite extensive. And through one of these experiences, which I will dive into deeper later, the birth of No Harm did take place. But that's kind of how we ended up here. And before kind of moving forward, I'd like my co-founder and CEO Sam to also introduce himself a bit.
Yeah, so hi everyone, nice to meet you. So my name's Sam. I am co-founder and COO of No Harm Technologies. My background is mainly in computer science, so data analytics. I started my career over a decade ago working for Apple. Since then, I've worked for quite a few large companies around the world, Uber and Delivery Hero. I am primarily based now in the UAE, and I've shifted my focus to strategy and growth, which is where my sustainability focus has come in. And I've led a few joint venture projects here in the UAE with a focus on sustainability as well. And around 2 years, 2.5-ish years ago, is when I met Delma, and she kind of came to me with the brainchild, which we're going to go through now. And I was very, very, very much keen to get started and see the vision of No Harm grow and to have an impact in the change that we plan to do.
And there's really the two challenges all the climate tech founders face. I'm sure you guys are all out there. You know the funding problem of getting funding to build and scale your system or your solution. Well, to scale your solution, you need clients, and that's basically solving the other side in a marketplace matchmaker model. Go for it, Delma.
Yeah, absolutely. And to piggyback on your words, Matt, a big part of that is credibility. I would say one of the biggest obstacles is credibility. And of course, as startups, as SMEs, as you grow, you realize there's a lot of moving pieces, in particular within this space, right? So climate tech space is very volatile, as I'm sure all of you are aware, whether it be politics, whether it be geography constraints, tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. There's always a lot of variables coming at you. One day it's a hype, if you will, and the next you're no longer in business, right? And going back to kind of where this started is I was actually working for a supply chain auditing company, developing their sustainability auditing tool internally. And I was working with a carbon calculator, measuring carbon emissions for thousands of suppliers. And overnight, this startup, right? We had this corporate company had partnered with a startup. Overnight, this startup changed their entire business model. At this point, I was in the corporate seat, and I realized, well, this is bad, right? As a corporate, we're losing money. We trusted this startup, and now the startup has completely changed. What to do now? Well, our leadership immediately cut out the partnership. They didn't spend time trying to talk to their CEO or their COO or any leadership of the startup. They simply had a bad taste in their mouth working with this startup because of the sudden change. And I realized this is not the way to build change, right? To whether it be climate impact or whether it be profits, this startup was going to bear the burden of not communicating on time, not being credible, not shifting priorities with the corporate client. And hence, again, the birth of No Harm and where we are today. And that's exactly what we keep hearing from our buyers as well as our climate tech sellers, right? Buyers tell us, Delma, these solutions, they don't qualify through our procurement process. They haven't done enough due diligence, et cetera, et cetera. From a supplier side, right? So if you're a climate tech solution, and someone asks you, okay, can you give me the scope emissions of your solution, can you quantify the data and the reality of the impact of your solution? The truth is, a lot of climate tech solutions cannot do that today. They don't understand how to do that. They don't understand how, if they do have that data, how do you then convey that data to a buyer where you become credible? Do you have to write a 10-page or 12-page sustainability report or more, right? If you've seen some of those sustainability public reports, they're like 20, 30 plus pages. You think nobody reads them? I was a person in the corporate seat that would read them, because part of that role is to analyze, again, the risk that that corporation is taking in onboarding this new technology, and making sure, kind of the upstream of that due diligence, that when a larger company then does report, publicly, that all their partners are compliant. So a lot of gaps in data and understanding, which again causes us to not be adopted. Right? If you're a climate tech company, you're not being adopted, you're not being invested in, because there's a gap. There's a gap in trust. And so again, no harm tech bridges that gap. Now, how do we bridge this gap? We've built a 4-step process. The first process, arguably, is the most important, where it takes the most time. And some of you on this call who have gone through this process, for example, I know Luke, you kind of mentioned that you're familiar with us. A big part of that process is verification, which is one of the most difficult, because what exactly do I need, right? Do I need a license of operation to verify my business? Okay, I have it. Do I need diversity and inclusion documents? Do I need greenhouse gas scope emissions? What exactly is required from me as a vendor so that the buyer finds me credible, right? That is a verification piece. Then we move forward to analytics. So great, now we have enough data to present to the buyer and prove to them that you are in fact doing what you're saying you're doing, you're credible, you're ready to commercialize, you're ready to scale. But of course, not every puzzle piece fits in the puzzle, right? Oftentimes, what we've seen in our experience thus far is location, it often is arbitrary. So what that means is, you could be a climate tech company operating in Turkey, but your solution is actually needed in London, or vice versa, which is something that is difficult to convey if you don't have enough of a subset to, let's say, test, right? So piloting your ideas in a broader audience. Again, hence the marketplace, which is similar to what 4WARD is doing, right? Kind of expanding the pie, so more visibility and more understanding of sustainability is known across. And then of course we do alignment and matching. So matching you to the right buyer. Now, diving deep on this verification piece, which of course we will demo later, is what exactly goes into verification, right? We have a 4-pillar process. This process, we identify who you are. So we think of it as like basic KYCs. Arguably, this would be the most easy one. The bottom 3 are challenging, are the most challenging, which of course we help you through. Technical readiness. How ready is your technology really? From an investor perspective, we always like to overpitch maybe our technology's abilities, which is fine. We understand that. But when we're dealing with a buyer, with someone who is actually going to implement your solution, transparency is key, because they want to grow with you, right? And we want to find someone who wants to grow with you, not someone who expects you to already be ready. Unless you are ready, of course, then we find you a different buyer, hence the analytics. Then we
Speaking
go
of, when are corporates normally ready to start even looking at startup solutions? Is there a specific, like Series A is kind of a lot of times they don't trust you're going to live it long enough to be around for them to pursue the partnership further. What have you guys found?
I mean, surprisingly, within the sustainability field, we've found that there are a lot of corporates who are willing to give opportunity to startups because they share that common goal. So, for example, we have one partnership in the UK that's actually willing to give land. They have a construction project in the UK. They're actually willing to give land for startups who are in the built environment, working in construction, to come and pilot their solutions there. They are around 2 to 3 years from breaking ground on their own development project. And during this time, they're happy for this land to be utilized for solutions which we have, and solutions available across Europe, to kind of use this land for pilot projects. And anything that's successful, they obviously want to implement into their project later on. And anything that's not successful, they are also planning to build kind of like a shared working space where these startups can then take the data that they've gathered, take their findings, take their products, and actually take it, use this space to commercialize on it. And we found this across lots of our partners who are willing to engage in pilot projects. So I think because people understand that sustainability or the field we're in is long term, and the impact is not necessarily right now, especially for a lot of the tools that are out there, they have this shared goal of, okay, cool, let's help them survive. Let's get them up and running. Let's get the technology out there. Let's get it viable. Let's get it cost effective for everyone. So that way we can leave a better future for everyone else. I think that's an idea that a lot of people engage with, and we've seen a lot of our partners be open to that idea too. I mean, this community itself speaks for that. We have a community of like-minded individuals who are all dedicating their time for this goal. I mean, I was just going through the chat. A lot of these people have very established companies. A lot of these people, some of them are venture companies as well. So they are here for a reason, because they kind of share that goal. And we found a lot of our partners do the same.
They're here to
Yeah.
meet people as well, and you guys have a good matchmaking system for that.
Yeah, I think to also make the audience think a bit, and again, this is based on our own findings. Oftentimes we think very traditionally, right? We think buyer, seller, business done. What we've discovered through our operations is it's not always as it seems. So what do I mean by that? We had a seller, we had two sellers register, okay, Climate Technologies register as sellers ready to sell their tool. But one seller was an OEM, right? So they're operating EV vehicles. They're kind of more industrial, mature company. The other one, startup, and building a AI system to measure the efficiency of lithium batteries. So their entire model, their entire software model was actually, they turned it into an API kind of integration thing, but their entire tool was data for the efficiency of EV batteries. That's all they did. And they were looking for a buyer, right? They were looking for buyers. And they reach out to us. We have a feature in our tool that's called kind of the needs identifier. They reached out to us and they said, no harm. Do you have someone I can gather more data from? Because right now I need my tool to be better to eventually sell. And of course, we match them with our OEM, with another climate tech seller. So these interactions come from need to improve your technology to be ready for the market. So again, it's not always a direct link to a transaction, but perhaps a direct link to growth in a different way. And that's the value that we've kind of seen as we build No Harm Tech community. So we invite you to, of course, make climate tech solutions thrive together, because as Matt did start, this is kind of a community, right, where connections kind of will help us thrive, and we can't do this alone. So our next kind of show and tell will be a bit about our demo, and happy to kind of dive into that. And of course, welcoming all questions along the way. So looking forward to answer those afterwards.
And if you got questions, throw them in the chat as well, and we will either jump in with them or save them till the end, depending on how awesome of a question they are. So no pressure. You want to take us into the platform itself and show a little bit more the magic behind the software.
Absolutely. So first step, of course, is either to use the link that Matt has posted in the chat, the link in the description, or just type into your browser 4WARD.earth/no harm, and that will take you to our webpage. On our webpage, you'll be able to see a little bit more information about us, and then you can jump straight into the onboarding. So once you do your startup, you just enter your name, your email address, and then once you sign up, you'll be faced with three options. Those three options are basically onboarding as a seller, onboarding as a buyer, and onboarding as an ally. So just to give a little bit of insight, a seller is a climate technology or as a solution provider. This is someone that has either hardware, software, or a service that they are basically looking to list on our platform. A buyer, a little bit more self-explanatory. A buyer is someone who's looking to gain from those solutions. You don't necessarily have to know which solution you're going for. So you could have a project in mind and you can upload your scope of work, and our software will kind of match you with the best seller. An ally can be someone who is offering a service. This service can be UI UX development, it can be certification, it can be legal services, it can be consultancy, it can even be, for example, we have some allies on our platforms who are scrum masters or they are agile coaches, and they are helping these technology companies gain some insights and basically progress their development through their insights. Once you basically narrow down which one you are, and if you're unsure if, for example, you want to be a seller or an ally, you can go ahead and get started with any of the processes, and then our team will kind of reach out to you afterwards and correct you if we see you are a better match somewhere else. When you start, you come to our initial onboarding journey. So this is a very basic KYC. This is where we're going to gather some information about you and the company you work for. It is very important that when you are completing this stage, you do mark yourself as a referral from 4WARD. This way we can ensure that you get the benefits and discounts of being a member of the 4WARD community.
And a technical question as well. What percentage of corporates or buyers sign up without a project? I wonder, like, how many of them are opportunistically doing this versus, oh crap, I need to go find a way to do this and I don't know how.
Great question. I don't know the exact percentage, but we do have a few of our buyers who have signed up very early stages of the project. So, for example, one was a green data center here in the Middle East. They haven't even secured their investment. It's still very much in the planning stage, and they wanted more insights on tools that are available, how they could go about, what costs may be involved, to help put that into their proposal so they can go and reach investment. So it does happen. We do have buyers who come on like window shop, I guess you can call it. But it's great because that way we are involved in their project from the get-go. So we can ensure that they're setting themselves up for success and they're setting themselves up to be a final end user of our platform when they actually receive their investment and the project is breaking ground. They already have an idea of which tools they're going to go with. They know what tools are available, what stage they're in. So it makes that procurement process when they're ready to go for it a lot more streamlined. Back to the KYC, initial what KYC, it's very, very simple. We're just going to ask you what sector you're in. If your sector is not listed here for whatever reason, you can mark it as other. And during our consultant call, just let them know that you didn't find your exact sector, and we will be able to adjust that in the back end for you. Same thing, key factors you're involved in. If you don't find something that fits you as best, it is multiple choice. You can mark whatever you feel fits you as best. And if there's something else you'd like to add, you can always mark it as other. The reason we've done this is we've tried to make this process as easy and streamlined as possible. So that way there is no right and wrong answer to these questions. You just add whatever information you know. So that way anyone within your company at any stage, at any level, is able to do the onboarding for you and get you signed up to the platform.
And a quick
Same thing.
clarifier as well, the reason why most of those sectors and industries, they're focusing on built world construction and kind of hard physical infrastructure at the moment. There will be more in the future, but that's why if you don't see yourself today, it may still be worth reaching out.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Thank you for that, Matt. So initially when we started, just to give everyone a little insight, we decided to tackle all solutions possible. And we realize there's a lot. There's a lot that's going on in the world. People are very, very busy. And we realize that we can't provide the best experience if we spread ourselves too thin, especially at that stage of the early startup we were. So we decided to focus on the built environment, construction, and real estate. This way, we were able to enhance our technology and focus it more. We were able to collect more accurate and better data, and also source higher level buyers, because we knew exactly what type of buyers we were going for, and we could target our efforts to them directly. But that doesn't mean that that's the only climate solutions we have on board, and it doesn't mean that those are the only climate solutions we do on board. Our platform is open because anything can be a solution to anyone. We've kind of realized this when working with some of our buyers, that we think they're only going to ask for certain things, but then they come with really out of the box suggestions for their solutions. And then it's down to us to ensure that we are able to find, verify, and have those solutions listed on our platform. So the more we can get, the better it is for the buyer, and also the more visibility it is for the solutions that we have.
Yeah, I would also add that as a buyer, there's a lot of unknown unknowns, right? And them diving into our ecosystem is like a great unveil. And so for us, that has become actually great for our community. And I'll give you an example. There is in the real estate and construction industry, as some of you may know and may have that background, it's very much old school. It's traditional, right? You have suppliers and vendors, and usually you go with the same suppliers and vendors. You oftentimes don't reevaluate if these suppliers and vendors are competitive, if there's new innovation, and if there is new innovation, and if there's other more competitive in terms of pricing vendors, the due diligence process itself just takes a lot of time. And convincing leadership, again, it's a systems change constraint. Hence, through our data, through our verification, through our trust, what we've seen is the buyer, let's say, gets softer, right? They begin to see, okay, there's other options in the market, options that are not lab projects, right? Options that work. For example, we had a call with a potential buyer recently who was actually shocked that there was HVAC filters at such a price point available to them. They're like, oh, I thought this quality of filter would cost way more than what it actually does. So again, this is like an unknown that the buyer realized, wow, there's other options in the market that are more sustainable, more eco-friendly, more efficient, and are at a very, very similar price point than what I'm already using. But how would they know if they're not obviously exposed to it?
Correct. So once you've done that initial onboarding, you will see your main dashboard. Some of you who will be logging in now or logging in the future, you may see our new dashboard. So the layout may be slightly different, but the tools and widgets you will face will be the same. And that will be the first section, which is the tool questionnaire. And then follow that, we have the documentation upload, an intake form, and then of course contract and payment if you're on the payment model as well. So I'll just go through the tool questionnaire. The tool questionnaire is very similar to what we just went through with the basic KYC. However, this is going to be more specific to the solution you're uploading. So going back to the point earlier, if you are onboarding as a seller and maybe you don't have your solution yet, this is a stage you can skip, or you can fill it out based on the assumptions that you are for the tool that you are going to develop. Similarly, if you are a buyer, you won't have a tool questionnaire. You will have a section where it's kind of understanding your requirements. And if you don't really know what your project is yet, if you're just browsing, you can skip this stage. If you've identified as an investor, same thing, and you're not sure what type of company you want to invest in, you can also skip this stage. Otherwise, you can continue, and these questions are dynamic, so they will change depending on the type of user you are and some of the information you gave in the initial KYC, plus some of the information you give in the tool questionnaire as well. So this is a deep dive where we focus on your sector. Again, water, energy, and waste were our primary sectors that we were focusing on. However, if you are outside of this, you can just put in other type of solution, and then our software will kind of accommodate for that and ask you more questions during the onboarding as well. Our team will also reach out and get some more information from you regarding that. Cool. So I'm just going to go through these questions now. These questions can always be changed in the platform. Of course, startups are always changing. If you do change, maybe you answered a question wrong. Someone else from your team says, you know what, we do have this certification, you didn't list it. You can always click the update information button and you're able to make those changes.
And how important are those certifications for buyers? I know you were mentioning a little bit before that of that's one of the hiccups, or do we need to have this, or Walmart only works with XYZ.
Yeah, so certification for buyers, it is quite important. So that's where it comes to the documentation upload. So for example, a lot of buyers in certain regions, so especially in Europe, they are bound by a lot of government restrictions, which means they can only work with companies who are which have certain certifications or meet certain regulations. And they need to do their reporting on this. So if you are saying you're LEED certified, or you have, you've tracked your supply chain, or you're carbon neutral, when they are working with you, they will need to prove that as well for their own reporting. So instead of having the back and forth of they're not sure and then they ask it for you later on, it's always best that you upload that documentation or that proof in the documentation upload so they can see it, because that will encourage a match. When they see that you've already uploaded that information, it builds that trust and credibility, which Delma mentioned earlier. And they know, okay, cool, I don't need to do any extra due diligence. I won't need to chase them. I already know that they fit my requirements. I'm not going to be fine using them. I'm not going to go, 2 weeks into calls every day and then find out that, hey, you know what, they're in application stage, they don't have it, I can't actually work with them. So this will help. If you are in that application stage or you don't have the certifications you need, and we do have a buyer that kind of does like your solution anyway, we can always tap into our ally network to kind of facilitate the documentation you need to get you matched. So we do have some buyers which are a little bit more flexible, especially that some of the projects are longer cycles. So it's not immediate, hey, I need it right now, I need it tomorrow, I need it next week. It may be like, I need this in 4 months. So you have time to get those documentations in order, and our ally network will be able to help you if you don't have someone in-house that can kind of get that done for you.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of reiterate that point because it's a huge piece. Coming from a sustainability background, I understand that getting certified, getting due diligence ready is costly and it's very complex, right? I don't think that should be like underplayed. It's actually very, very complicated to get ISO certification or CDP reports, or there's so many of them now. But any of these certifications are very, again, difficult and expensive to obtain. So part of this verification process is to get you closer and closer and closer to what a specific buyer will need, right? Because the last thing you need as a climate tech solution is to invest 10,000 euros into a certification that will not actually get you a return, right? That's what you don't want to do. Hence, of course, this entire verification process been made and built for this purpose.
Yeah. What we find and what we advise, especially startups who are onboarding onto our platform, is to use the documentation upload feature very much as a data room. So upload everything you have. Of course, you've signed the NDAs. There is all your data is secure on No Harm. So that way, whenever you are meeting any potential buyer or even an investor who's interested, you're no longer chasing the documents. You basically have everything ready, everything good to go. It's been verified. You can share it with them straight away. It's all in one place. It makes that entire process a lot easier for you as a seller, and also for our buyers and our allies who are looking to invest. Cool. Another feature we have, which Delma kind of touched upon earlier, is the needs identifier. So this is how you can make the most of our ally network, where you'll basically now be able to tell us literally what it says. What do you need? What do you need from us? What do you need from our community? What do you need from others? You can say, hey, you know what? Like, I've been looking to redo my UI UX. I need legal support because I want to register my company in Germany or in France, and I have no idea how it works over there. Can you help me with this? And then we can connect you with someone who can help. This is a free service we provide. So we don't charge you for connecting you to our allies. But of course, if you are looking for legal advice, that first consultation may be free. But after that, those consultations may be at a cost. And that's between you and the ally we introduce you to basically like work that out amongst yourselves. But for us, this is us trying to give back to the community. And this is something that we work with. We will be working with Matt as well. That if you say, I'm looking for X and we don't have it in our community, we will be reaching out to Matt to find it within the 4WARD community, just so we can expand and make sure that those our users and the people involved are able to thrive within and grow their products.
And for that, with our Climate Consulting Collective, we can also support you guys with fundraising, growth, grants, partnerships, go-to-market, regional expansion, some of the hiring and CFO services as well. So depending on the type of support you need, we are certainly here for you guys, in addition to all of the No Harm community and ecosystem partners.
So the final thing I just like to showcase is an example of a profile. So this is a profile for one of our clients called Green Circle Solution. The reason I wanted to showcase the profile is you can actually see what a buyer will see. Of course, you as a seller, you have access to view your own profile. We've tried to make the profiles as simple as possible because buyers come in all different levels of understanding. We have some buyers who are just procurement managers who have no idea about technology or sustainability. And we have some buyers who are engineers and they have a very, very high understanding of the tools and what they can do. But we try to make it as easy as possible in the snapshot we give, which is the profile. So it has the company details, the email address, and the location. And then, of course, the no harm score, which is based on the documentation upload, the answer to the questions, and the assessment we do in the backend. This no harm score is broken down into the 4 pillars, which Delma touched upon earlier. And we constantly work with you as a seller to improve this score. So if you have a score of 82 in impact potential, we will let you know why you have the score of 82 in impact potential. We're very transparent about our scoring. Delma mentioned all the documentation. We have a 56-page methodology that we've worked tirelessly to work on. I don't know how many people have actually read it, but trust me, everyone inside our company has. So we are very transparent about how we do the scoring, and we will always work with you to improve that score. So we'll tell you what was missing, why that score was like that, what you can do to improve the score, and we will work with you. And if we need to involve allies, we will involve allies to push that score as high as possible. So that's kind of our commitment to our partners. We don't just give you a score and say, this is it. We're always working with you to improve that score as much as possible. Within the profile, you can have your solution details, exactly what your solution is doing. You can add demo videos, testimonials, any type of media you're looking for. You add your value proposition, the regions that you operate in, the sustainable certificates and standards that you abide to, a little bit of the information on how it works, and use cases, which can also be in the form of videos and testimonials as well, or even separate documentation. So this is a snapshot. You can have more if you are a very technical company and you do have a lot of data you'd like to showcase. That can also be showcased on the profile as well. We do encourage to keep the profiles as simple as possible, but if your company is data heavy and you are looking to engage with technical buyers anyway, then of course you can add that information onto your profile.
And what percentage would you say of startups on the platform find or get interest from buyers, as well as buyers finding solutions? That's the one thing about a party is it takes 2 to tango. So how many of them are actually starting to dance?
So our buyer network is fairly new. So our buyer network is around 6 months old as compared to our solutions network. And we're seeing a lot of traction from our buyers, a lot of interest. Like I mentioned, the procurement cycle for the buyers is very long. So not a lot of them have said, "Hey, I want the solution, and we're going to go to market straight away." It is a very long dance. It's a very long tango. There's a lot of back and forth that goes into it. But we're happy to say that we have had quite a few pilot projects, and we've engaged those buyers and sellers together. And we're looking forward to seeing the results of that and posting that onto our website as well.
Yeah,
So
I would add kind of the value that our buyers are currently kind of vocally giving us, right? And the reason why they're onboarding to No Harm Tech as we build this and we've launched, as I mentioned 6 months ago, is they've found a place where they literally have told us this. They're like, oh, we're safe to browse here. So I think what that means for them is we don't disclose to them, like we will never disclose to us to a seller who the buyer is, right? And the buyer feels comfortable with that because there's no commitment. They get to see your solution, basically test your solution without ever engaging you directly. And again, I guess from a seller perspective, you're like, well, kind of unfair. But from a buyer perspective, this actually creates a sense of trust again, which is what we're aiming for: trust and equality, versus all the sellers coming to the buyer like, buy me. It's similar to the investors, right? When startups are looking for capital, they're like, give me money, give me money, give me money, and every investor kind of shuts the door. Well, the same kind of scenario happens with buyers, except the difference is that, sure, an investor will give someone capital and then may or may not succeed. With a buyer, they're actually risking implementing that solution in-house, and that solution can be as simple and as safe as LED lights, or as dangerous as hydrogen energy in their facility, or heat to waste, something like that could potentially blow up, etc. Or have other different types of constraints or demands on their grid, and other kind of more technical applications. So again, I think what we're seeing is, to Sam's point, that that match is not maybe going crazy at the moment, but it's building trust, right? Building trust over time, where the community itself, right? So similar to what Matt has built with 4WARD, the community itself will reap that benefit over a period of time.
what we've built with 4WARD, not what I've built. And the other thing I would add as well, guys, is as they are, like many of you, early in the journey, that means they can't really afford to let you guys down. So if you are one of the early buyers, if you are one of the early sellers, they have to hustle extra hard to make you satisfied, to make sure that the platform succeeds, because otherwise they die. So just a pro tip of, if you want to get in early, that's when you get the best matchmaking, I imagine. And there's also less competition in terms of other sellers on the platform. If you've got to find a technology and your solution ticks the boxes, then it could be super helpful for their buyers.
Absolutely. Cool. So that's it for the demo. Is there any questions in the chat that we may have missed? Anything we want to go through?
There was a couple here. Just need to double check and go back through. Most people sharing more information about themselves. You can find the links as well. It's just 4WARD.earth/no harm, or just say that we sent you, and then you get kind of the white glove service for getting onto the platform and up to speed faster. In terms of questions, who has questions? It's a speak now or forever hold your peace kind of thing. And one of the questions I would have for you guys as well, while we're moving forward, is why construction? Why built world? Why choose to start there?
Great question. So we picked a few industries initially, and we spent a lot of sleepless nights deep diving into those industries and trying to fully understand them. And what we found is the construction and real estate is very heavily regulated, which kind of supports our cause, because the regulation is already there. Where a lot of other industries, the regulation is very new and it's very unknown. Not only that, construction and real estate or the built environment is something that's going on everywhere. It's happening everywhere and it's constant. Um, Also, being from the UAE, we see a lot of construction projects, and we had a lot of interested parties here in the UAE who want to use this tool, who are looking to become greener and more sustainable. And because construction is such a huge thing that happens here, this is kind of their their beachheads, like this, the tip of the spear. This is where they want to start, to make this more sustainable. So that filters down into other sectors after that. So that was kind of a little bit of the logic. Of course, there was a lot more that went into it through our research, but that was kind of the overlying principle of why we chose construction and real estate.
Yeah, I think also from a climate tech perspective, the technology itself, it's it's incredibly misunderstood, right? I think again, majority of people when they think climate tech, they think solar, wind, recycling. When in fact, climate technology as it applies to real estate and construction can be anything from a material to a filter, right? A filtration system, an HVAC, a more efficient HVAC system, a cooling system for floorings. Like really,
Energy optimization system for buildings usage based
Yeah.
on AI.
it's incredibly dynamic, and there's so many parts. And again, because real estate and construction is traditional in its energy, if you will, mode of operation, oftentimes contractors, developers, and even investors, real estate investors themselves, they don't realize the huge innovation that has been going on in prop tech as it relates to climate tech. They're just kind of like, okay, next project, and their margins are so thin, as some of you from real estate and construction in this call may know, that you're really just trying to make the numbers add up, right? Let alone worry about net zero sustainability kind of constraints. So we realize there's a huge opportunity here to just expose these technologies to the market in a way that they deserve to be, right, recognized.
It's also much more, no offense to anyone building in the space, but built world and construction is the ugly, not sexy child of climate and sustainability. And of that especially, I'm of the opinion all products in the world are going one of two ways. They're going the Apple or the iOS route. Either you have your premium, these are the things you really care about, and you're a skier or you're big into traveling, or you like to eat certain types of foods and you're willing to kind of splurge. And then there's the everything else products of your life, which is kind of like toilet paper. The brand's not a huge deal. I'm guessing for a lot of the buyers here, no offense, but you guys are kind of the more efficient toilet paper. They're trying to find the great solutions that fit in their budgets, and they're much less brand sensitive. They're looking for whose technology is the best, whose technology meets the margins, who can actually deliver on this versus who can send me a great Instagram or Facebook ad.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's been so many case studies, right, of technologies like, I mean, EVs, electric vehicles, existed way before Elon Musk, right? We all know that, but Elon Musk made them sexy. Now, how many people purchase Teslas? But way before him, the technology is not new, right? We're operating under the same foundation, the same first principle thinking, right? These technologies are not new. Why isn't that every building in the world doesn't have light sensors? Why is it that we still have to click on the light to turn it off and on? Right? That's a huge inefficiency. You're literally wasting money by doing this. If you're not a remote worker and your company's still operating from an office, all your computers should shut down after a certain time, because that's energy output. And this is technology that already exists, that has been existing for years, but it's just not sexy. To Matt's point, it's toilet paper that is more efficient, but still seen as toilet paper, But No Harm Tech is here to say no more. This is no longer going to be seen as fancier toilet paper. This is going to have the credibility that it and the allure, yeah, if you will, that it deserves. Similar to, again,
I
what
didn't mean fancier toilet paper in a bad way. I actually meant it in a good way of if we can change the defaults and make the defaults better, that's how we change the world, because people are not going to change everything about themselves. None of us are Buddha all of the time. We have to make the defaults better, and that's a big way of doing this. A couple questions from existing members. What geographies are covered currently, and how can I sort the existing tools and services on the portal or browse them?
Uh, Geographies covered currently is Europe, US, and the Middle East. That's where we have the majority of our buyers, the majority of our tools. But same thing, we are geography agnostic, especially if your tool can be implemented worldwide. So if it's a software, for example, you can be based anywhere. Our buyers will not have an issue implementing your software. Just always keep in mind that local regulations may play a part into your tool not being picked first if you don't meet those regulations. But in terms of where the software can be based or where the solution can be based, it can be based anywhere.
And then joining without having a solution or being a buyer, I think we said you could join as an ecosystem partner to see what's happening or potentially get connected to some of the other companies and providers on the platform.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. You can always join. So you can always join as a consultant. I think that would be the best fit if you don't have uh, a solution or a product, or you're not a producer. You can always join as the solution as a consultant. That way, you're in the ecosystem. You can interact with some of the clients. You may find someone that you would love to be able to give feedback to, or to be able to provide some insights, and you can connect with them that way.
And our monthly Climate Connect sessions could be a great way as well to stay plugged in. And regardless of your industry, be that transportation and energy, food and ag, carbon markets, climate finance, you can connect monthly with other folks in your space, find out what's happening, or jump into one of the other breakout rooms and see a little bit more about the interesting developments happening across the world. Thanks, Delma. Thanks, Sam. I don't have other questions for you guys, if other than to tell kind of folks and attendees, again, check out No Harm if you think it will be beneficial for you as either a seller or a buyer. B, if you find 4WARD valuable, the entire community and ecosystem is, well, free. So say thanks and share it with a friend or two or 17 to help us grow the movement and community. If you haven't already, be sure to reach out. So 4WARD, it's more like, don't think of us as LinkedIn, because LinkedIn's the place you kind of have to be, where people are bragging about themselves or getting outreach from IT development services and who knows where. 4WARD is more like a meetup. Everyone is here to meet other folks interested in similar topics and advance what they're doing, learn more, collaborate, etc. So every person you reach out to on the platform, as long as it is kind of a honest outreach, is helpful for those people because they're looking to meet people too. So be friendly. Go reach out to 2 to 3 other folks, either folks who are on this call now, or you can use the pro filters that we have with our member directory to find exactly the consultant that you need, or the co-founder you're looking for, the investor that would be great, the corporate that could be a buyer, the next job that you're looking for. Play with the community, reach out to folks, and be kind of open, honest, and looking to offer help and advice, and you'll get a lot more than you expected. Delma, Sam, any last words you want to share with folks?
just a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to meeting more of the community, growing the community, and getting you the right exposure of climate tech buyers that you're looking for.
Awesome. Well then, folks, everyone here has homework and other things to do. We'll see you in the community. If you haven't done your intro or joined your sector group yet, be sure to do that. And until next time, cheers, cheers, and ciao.